nonprofit community recently was able to purchase a 5-unit rental building before its units lost their affordability on the private market. Through private market forces, we all know that right now, affordable housing in San Francisco is hard to come by. We're at an all-time high in rents, an all-time low in vacancies, and market forces are bringing more new great jobs to San Francisco, but we simply don't have the housing stock to meet the demand. So right now we have really high rents. The average rent is around $2,700 a month. That's only affordable to a household earning more than $100,000. That's fewer than 40% of San Franciscans. So our city really needs strong public policy and a new model for preserving and producing affordable housing. And so everyone today who's joined us to speak has been part of this long, multi-year struggle to come up with good public policy and this new innovative model that the community in South of Market was recently able to demonstrate as a potentially new successful model for acquiring buildings from the private market before they get sold and either lose their units to the private market. When long-time tenants move out, of course, those rents can go up to market rate, and right now, like I said, it's highly unaffordable. We also, the rent board is reporting an increase in Ellis Act evictions, 68% increase in 2012 over 2011. We've lost more than 120 units due to Ellis Act evictions, so at that rate we're losing more affordable units than we can build new. So we need a new model. So what we did in the South of Market, the SOMA Stabilization Fund, which was another community victory that happened back in 2005 and 6, where we have a dedicated source of funds to really help stabilize the existing fabric of the neighborhood, the longtime residents and their social and economic businesses and family life. And this fund funded a collaboration of the Land Trust and the South of Market Community Action Network and the Asian Neighborhood Design nonprofit and also the Filipino American Development Foundation. And together we identified a property that came on the market, and we competed against 5 private buyers, 5 other offers, but the owner recognized the value in the community wanting to preserve these families and these units in the South of Market. So he said, okay, I'll work with you as long as you can close escrow in 60 days. Now that's unprecedented in the nonprofit affordable housing industry, but we did it, and we did it with the help of Clearinghouse Community Development Financial Institution, who are here today, and a generous private investor who allowed us to compete on the private market, preserve that building, and now we're going to reinvest with rehabilitation to make sure that these homes remain high quality and affordable for the long term for future generations. And that's what the Land Trust does. All of the residents and our community members have voting power in the Land Trust, and that guarantees that these community assets are preserved over the long term. So thank you all, and I want to just pass it on to our next speaker, Supervisor James Kim.
So Tracy really covered the issue really well, but we're really excited to work with the community on this very issue. Tracy had mentioned that we need new models, and I think we actually have a lot of great models already in the city of San Francisco on the preservation and production of affordable housing, but we need more, particularly in the environment that we have today. And the small site acquisition model is one way to do that. So we need to both build more affordable housing, but also preserve and protect what is currently existing housing for working class and middle class communities, and those are buildings that are currently under rent control. But as Tracy mentioned, as tenants move out, we lose the affordability of those units as they get new tenants and they come up to market rate. So one of the answers is, of course, controlling the ownership of our properties here in San Francisco and making sure that we have good, conscientious property owners that care about families and working class people staying here in the city of San Francisco. So we're really excited to partner with the groups here today. We don't want to take credit for this work. This really happened through the Community Land Trust, FADC, AND, and SOMCAN, but we were excited to be a part of the conversation of pushing the Mayor's Office of Housing and the city to acknowledge that small site acquisition was an important part of increasing the affordable housing pipeline here in the city. So I just want to thank and acknowledge all the community groups here. This is really a small success, but these small successes add up in the South of Market. And for these 5 units, for these families that live in those 5 units, this is a huge success for them and those that will come and live here after them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bernadette C. I am the Executive Director of the Filipino American Development Foundation of Bayanihan Community Center and also a member of the South of Market Stabilization Fund. As a representative of the Stabilization Fund, I wanted to show our big support for this project. It's been a long time trying to find a property. As you know, the market rate is very challenging, but we want to support the families that are living in the neighborhood. And as part of the Filipino American Development Foundation, our mission is really to help stabilize the Filipino communities that are in South Market. And this actually provides an opportunity for 100% of the units to be stabilized. The small size project program in San Francisco needs to be expanded, and I look forward to the viability of this strategy for affordable housing in South Market. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelica Cabande, and I'm with the South Market Community Action Network. SOMCAN educates, organize, and mobilize residents in the SOMA to fight for their rights as tenants and as long-time residents. As you know, SOMA is a racially diverse and socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhood with extreme wealth and poverty. During the 90s, the first .com, thousands of live-work units were built which gentrified the traditional jobs, small business, and long-time residents. Now, a second .com is currently impacting our neighborhood and is even larger scale than the first. The resulting rise in property value and continued proliferation of large-scale developments and gentrification threatens to completely displace SOMA's low-income and immigrant communities. That is why it's crucial that the community has multiple strategies on dealing with gentrification and San Francisco's housing crisis. Not only do we need to continue building new affordable housing so families living in SROs and double up are able to move out, we also need to stabilize and preserve existing housing that has our long-time residents and continue protecting their tenant rights. This recent victory demonstrates one of our community strategies in the realm of affordable housing development, so we can continue to combat gentrification and continue to stabilize the long-time working class residents, families, seniors, many of whom played a role in making San Francisco the culturally and economically rich and diverse city it is today. So we're really happy that we're able to acquire this property, and we will continue organizing and looking for other properties so we could stabilize South of Market and other communities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Kurlinski. I'm the Deputy Director of SPUR. We're an urban planning public policy think tank here in San Francisco. And I'm very pleased to stand here today to congratulate all of the community advocates, especially the Land Trust, for this enormous success. Some of you know San Francisco recently passed Proposition C, which is $1.2 billion for affordable housing. This is an enormous win for this city. And building on that success is this small-scale acquisition rehabilitation program that the Community Land Trust is moving forward. The purchase of this building and the preservation of the affordability is an extremely important strategy among all of the strategies to build and preserve affordable housing in this city. We can't solely build enough affordable housing. We also need to preserve many of the buildings that are currently rent controlled, and the Community Land
building. It's really exciting and exceptional. So thank you.
I get to go? Oh, hey, here I go. Well, I should sit back here then. Hi everybody, my name is Darnell Robinson, Community Development Director and Community Relations with Clearinghouse CDFI. CDFI stands for Community Development Financial Institution, which is located inside the U.S. Treasury. It has been a pleasure to work with Tracy and the San Francisco Community Land Trust to preserve affordable housing here in the San Francisco and other parts of the Bay Area. This is our second transaction we've done with Tracy. I like the speed in which we were able to come in and give the financing, working with the other community partners, which we couldn't have done it alone. And in order to keep private investors from paying cash to buy the property. Clearinghouse CDFI is a mission-driven company, and we like to work with nonprofits such as San Francisco Community Land Trust and other community organizations to preserve affordable housing throughout the state of California. And we're also in the state of Nevada. It's good to be back here in San Francisco and get the word out, and helping us with the media, allowing us to share our focus. And what we're really looking to do is provide as much affordable housing in the Nye-County area as we can. As everybody knows, in the down economy, which we hope is turning, affordable housing is a must to keep people living in the San Francisco area to enjoy this beautiful city. I'd like to say that we continue and would like to work with Tracy and the San Francisco Community Land Trust, also with the supervisors sitting right here, and the city of San Francisco to keep affordable housing going. As I said, we're mission driven and very honored to be here today. I'd like to thank you for your time.
Can you say your name and your affiliation one more time?
My name is Darnell Robinson with Clearinghouse CDFI. Thank you all.
Good morning. My name is Tommy Apicoli-Mecca. I'm with the Housing Rights Committee of San Francisco. We're a tenants' rights organization, and we are completely in support of the land trust model as a way of creating and preserving permanent affordable housing in San Francisco. I want to follow up on what Tracy said in the beginning about the Ellis Act and the evictions. It's not just that we're seeing evictions. We are seeing an epidemic of evictions in San Francisco right now. And it's not just Ellis. Yes, Ellis has increased 68% this year, but we're seeing buyouts and threats and people being intimidated into leaving their places so that the landlord doesn't have to do an Ellis. So we have no concept of actually how many people are being driven from the city right now, how many low-income people are being driven from this city by Ellis, the threat of Ellis, and by buyouts. And we know that the most vulnerable people among us are the ones that are being victimized. Disabled people, seniors, people of color, people with AIDS, families, single mothers with children. These are the folks that generally live in the buildings that are being targeted by real estate speculators so that they can flip the buildings into TICs and make scabs of money. And speaking of TICs, there is currently legislation before the board to allow up to 2,000 TICs to condo convert. We know this is a recipe for disaster. We know this will incentivize more Ellis, more displacement, more evictions. We know that already speculators have felt empowered just by the existence of this legislation to start increasing the numbers of evictions that they're doing. We think it's insane public policy to be allowing all these TICs to condo convert and incentivizing more evictions. If TIC owners are in trouble, as the sponsors of this legislation say, then let's use land trust. Why doesn't the city buy these properties, buy these TICs that are in trouble, buy these buildings, and turn them into land trusts? That would be the obvious solution, and that way these properties remain affordable forever, and we don't lose the rent-controlled stock that these TICs are made from. And that's the thing. TICs are created by cannibalizing the rental stock, the rent-controlled stock in the city. So the solution is not to cannibalize the rent-controlled stock. The solution is not to allow more speculation and evictions. The solution is to create permanent, affordable housing through mechanisms like land trust. And that is why I'm here today, and that is why the Housing Rights Committee supports land trust, and I wish we could do what Boston did with the Dudley Street Land Trust and land trust whole neighborhoods, whole sections of the city. Let's land trust Soma. Let's land trust Mission. Let's land trust the Castro. Let's land trust Chinatown and North Beach. Let's land trust until the whole city is a land trust and there can be no more speculation and everybody has affordable housing. That's my dream.
Tough one to follow up. Thanks, Tommy. My name is Fernando Martí. I'm co-director of the Council of Community Housing Organizations, of which the Community Land Trust is one of our 20 members. First of all, I want to congratulate Tracy and the Community Land Trust, congratulate the tenants of this building for being able to get out of an Ellis Act eviction and find a solution in which they become part of the permanently affordable housing stock of the city. And finally, want to congratulate the community that had the vision to create, first of all, a South of Market Stabilization Fund, and second, a Small Sites Acquisition Fund to take this model to the next step. And in particular, I think a shout out to former Supervisor Chris Daly, who was part of creating both of those things. I also want to say, besides my affiliation as Choo-Choo, I was one of the people who, some 10 years ago, James Tracy and Tom Wetzel and a bunch of crazy radicals said, let's get together at some coffee shops and talk about this crazy idea called the Community Land Trust. And after many weekends, I think a lot of Saturday mornings over coffee and bagels and figuring out what articles of incorporation were and creating a nonprofit and so forth, we're able to create this thing that a lot of people said was a crazy idea that maybe worked in small towns across the United States. I think there's over 150 or 200 community land trusts, but was very rarely seen in big cities like San Francisco. And we said, well, advantages will come. We will be able to find places where this makes sense. And when the conditions are right, when there is organized tenants who are facing eviction, like here, we will be able to use this institution to create change and to create permanent affordability. It takes three things to make this work. One is organized tenants who are fighting and have a vision of ownership of their location. It takes a model, an institution like the Community Land Trust, financial institutions like the CDFIs who are willing to finance this and give it a shot. And it takes public policy. It takes a city who is willing to look forward and to say, how do we take these ideas and not just make them here and there and just a few little models, but take it to scale and make it really work. As Tommy said, take entire neighborhoods and make them community land trusts. What we are trying to do now with using this as a lesson is to try to create a small sites program that will really work throughout the city. And we hope that this is what will happen over the next few years. It's significant that this model is happening in the place that has the highest rate of new market rate construction in South of Market, a neighborhood that has been completely transformed since we began doing this work 10 years ago, and that it is here where tenants are fighting to preserve their housing for themselves. Tommy mentioned the struggle for rent control that is happening right now around the Ellis Act evictions and the TIC condo conversions. Each year we lose 540 units of rent-controlled housing that are turned into condos. At most, our folks, the affordable housing developers, build 300 to 450 new units of construction. Each new construction permanently affordable unit that we build has thousands of people on a waiting list. And those are thousands of people from across the city who are waiting to move into one of those new units of construction. This model is a real model for dealing with displacement at a very local level, because it means that in addition to the new construction units that we are creating, we are able to preserve units in the neighborhoods where people are facing eviction, where SOMCAN is organizing folks, where HRC is organizing folks, and it allows us to go from fight after fight after fight to be able to say we have some proactive solutions to making this a city that will maintain its social diversity from here and into the future. So again, congratulations everybody.
Have any questions for any of our speakers? And if no questions, we're available for interviews as well. Thank you very much.